Hi, I'm Chef Frank. This is Protocooks, and today we're doing an easy cocktail party. What I mean by an easy cocktail party is that the guests have drinks in their hands fairly quick, the food is ready and they can snack once they walk in the door, and you could spend your time hanging out with your guests, not stuck in the kitchen. One of the cocktails I like to serve is mulled wine. You see mulled wine all over Europe in the wintertime, and it's warming. It's got some really great spice to it. It makes your house smell good, and it makes people feel kind of cozy and welcome. My mulled wine is really simple. I don't get too complicated with it, and you can get as complicated as you want with this, but for the most part, it's put everything in a pot and warm it up. Some mulled wine they like to boil. I don't like to boil mine. When you boil it, it takes all the booze out. I want to leave the booze in there, so I'm just going to warm it up with the spices. Here's what we do. I have one cinnamon stick. That's about, I don't know, 3 inches long. I have 1.5 star anise. Star anise has like a licorice flavor. It's not super overpowering. It's kind of sweet, like a sweet flavor. I have about 1/4 cup of just white sugar. About 3 cups of red wine. I think this is a Pinot Noir, and it's not great wine. It's a box wine. It's good wine, but not great. Okay, I have a pear, and all I'm going to do with the pear is cut it into like eighths and take the core out. This pear has a little brown spot, not a big deal. You can cut that out. So I'm just going to throw the pear in there, right? Good thing about the pear is that even if people don't want to drink this, they can eat the pears and they're delicious. Okay. Pear goes in, and then I'm just going to take an orange and put like a couple of slices of orange in there. And then I'm just going to cut them into like 4. I don't want orange to be overpowering, but I want them to be a few orange segments floating around in there. Everything's in the pot. I'm going to put it on the stove behind me on low heat and let it warm through. I don't really want this to boil. If it boils, the alcohol cooks out. I want there to be booze in this, okay? One of the added benefits is that it's going to make your house smell great. One thing I want to emphasize with our snacks is that they're really easy. And basically, I just went to my local Trader Joe's. They're not a sponsor, but if they want to, they can. When I talk about easy, what I'm really talking about is that I'm buying things that are pretty much prepared already, and they don't take much work for me to get them onto the tray. So I buy prepared meats, I'm buying some nuts, I'm buying some olives that I'm going to do a little to jazz up, but not a lot. And I do have to slice a little bit of my salami, but for the most part, there's really not much to do on this platter. I'm trying to set it up so it's easy, quick, and delicious. Super easy marinated olives. I'm just going to drain off some of the juices. I have some Kalamatas that are pitted, and then I have some Cherignola olives that aren't pitted. But you should warn your guests if they have a pit or not. But for the most part, I'm going to mix these olives, drain them out, and give them a mix. They go right into my bowl. Put this aside. Okay. I have a little bit of chili flake, just a tiny, tiny little pinch of granulated garlic. Normally I don't use dry spices, but for this, we're going quick and easy. So I'm not too worried about using a little granulated garlic. And then some extra virgin olive oil. So now we've taken these olives that are pretty like, just plain, and we've kind of made them a lot more interesting. And the next thing we have to prep is our salami and pepperoni. Now, there's a lot of people out there that say, oh, sliced pepperoni, blah, blah, blah. Everybody loves pepperoni. It's going to go real quick, okay? So I'm going to just cut that open, put it aside, and then I have my salami over here that I'm just going to cut down the side and get off the casing. There is a piece of plastic, and then there's a membrane or a casing on it that needs to come off. And pretty much this and the olives are pretty much all we have to prepare or do any work with. And all I'm going to do with this is slice into nice thin slices. Right, I cut it in half, so I have like half moons, so it kind of differentiates itself from the pepperoni. I'm just going to cut into thin slices. Easy, 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 easy. That's what I'm looking for. I always try and prep a little more than I need and have some in reserve so I can refill later. I think that's an important thing to do. You really don't want an empty platter or dish to be sitting out, so I always prep a little more than I need, and I'll have a little bit of reserve on the end, which I think is a good call. So maybe not putting everything out at once. Okay, so meats are sliced. Let's get my platter and we'll plate it up. So all my prep is done. I marinated some olives and I cut some sausage. Everything else is pretty much ready to go. I'm gonna put it onto my platter. We got this really nice little mid-century modern platter, and we're gonna put everything on. So if you never had Boursin cheese, this is like the best spreading cheese out there, and it's literally open it up, put it on your platter, and serve, okay? This is one of those things that I always find is a great hit with guests. It's super simple, it's super soft, and all I have to do is open it up and plunk it on my platter. How easy is that, okay? I have some smoked almonds, and I always like to put some sort of nut on my platters. So smoked almonds, okay? I have crackers. I should have opened my box before. My crackers I'm gonna throw into this bowl. I also have a little bit of bread here. This is an Italian bread that my cousin and I made called Charmella. I think we have a video upcoming with that. So fill my crackers up, right? So here I go. I have my cheese, my nuts. I'm gonna put my 2 different types of sausage. Put a little bit of pepperoni. If you don't wanna do pepperoni, if you think it's not fancy enough, that's fine. I'm just trying to give options here. And what's great about this is that it's scalable, right? If I'm only gonna have my family for Christmas, this is a nice little platter for like 3 to 4 people or 4 to 5 people. But if you want, you could scale this up and get a little more elaborate. But what I was trying to do is do something really simple from products that you don't really need to do much to. And that's pretty much it, guys. Look at that. So simple, easy, prepared, and done within minutes. And that's what I'm looking for. I can get it on the table, get my guests drinks, and they could start snacking right away. The next cocktail we're gonna make is my take on a Kir Royale. And usually a Kir Royale is champagne with some Chambord or some raspberry liqueur. I'm gonna change that up a little. I'm not gonna buy champagne. I don't necessarily have to buy the best stuff. I'm gonna buy some sparkling wine, some white sparkling wine, and then I'm gonna kind of jazz it up with my own stuff. Now, if you've never seen a pomegranate, this is what it looks like, okay? So I'm gonna use a little bit of this pomegranate as garnish, and then I'm gonna take some pomegranate molasses and mix it with some simple syrup. So I have about 5 parts of simple syrup to 2 parts of pomegranate molasses. And this is gonna take place of our Chambord in this drink. So let me cut the pomegranate first, and then we'll get into the drink. And what I usually do is just score the pomegranate on top. You gotta make, I think, 5 scores. Top just pops right off. And once you open it up, you can see that there's lines here, the segments. So I just run my knife down the segments. Wherever I see a membrane there, I'm gonna run my knife down. And this is the best way to get maximum usage out of your pomegranate. And then you open it up, and look at that. Pretty much all the seeds come out. And this is definitely something you can get done ahead of time. Okay, so I have everything I need here. In order to make our drink, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna open up our sparkling wine. Whenever I open sparkling wine, I always put my finger over the cork while I'm undoing the cage, right? The cage is what holds the cork in because it is carbonated. And I basically take the cage off. Make sure not to point this at anyone, right? Take your cage off, right? I grab the cork and I turn my bottle, and I just let this have a little hiss. Now, if you're a little more crazy, you could easily just let this pop out all over the place, but that's really all I want to hear, okay? And of course it goes everywhere. I have a champagne glass. I'm going to take some of my molasses, put it down on the bottom, and then I'm going to pour my champagne over it. And what the pomegranate molasses and simple syrup are going to do is going to give it a little sweetness and a little sourness to it. Okay? And then we take some of our pomegranate seeds and we float them in. They float to the top, and look how beautiful that is. Super simple. My last drink is a great drink to make in a big batch and have your guests help themselves to. You can put this in a punch bowl, you can put it in a pitcher. It's totally up to you, and all they have to really do is pour it over ice. I'm gonna do a single drink today, but this is my Old Tom Gin and Cider Punch. Here's how I make my Old Tom Gin and Cider Punch. I start with some Old Tom Gin, and Old Tom Gin is just an aged gin, and this one is really good. As you can see, the bottle is not full. I'm gonna start out with 2 ounces of the Old Tom Gin, and whenever I make cocktails, I always try and measure, right? A lot of cocktails that you get that are too strong or too weak or too sweet is people not measuring, okay? I got some really nice fresh apple cider. If you want to use clear apple cider, I guess you could, but I think fresh apple cider is best. And I'm going to do 4 ounces of apple cider, okay? And then I have just basically maybe a teaspoon of lemon juice, okay? What I'm going to do is put some ice in this and give it a stir. So I'm going to put some ice in my glass, and I'm going to put some ice in my drink and stir it up. So I got my ice, and all I'm going to do with this is give it a stir. And I'm using this ice to chill my drink down, and I want fresh ice so that it stays nice and cold. Okay, now that this is nice and cold, take my garnish. I'm going to just get an apple slice, a nice piece of Granny Smith apple. And I'm going to float that on top, kind of off to the side, okay? I have a strainer. I'm going to strain this into my fresh glass. I'm going to get myself a nice piece of orange rind. Squeeze the oils into it, make sure I get the oils into it, and just float my orange rind. And that's my apple cider and Old Tom Gin Punch. Our mulled wine is nice and hot. You can use a little mugs. I like to serve it in like clear mugs so you can see what's in it. But I also like to serve it in wine glasses. I feel like it's a little more elegant. Of course, I'm going to make a mess and get it everywhere. Right? Get a piece of pear. Get a piece of orange. Now the wine glass won't keep it as warm as for as long, but you know what? People usually drink this pretty quick because it's delicious. And that's my spread. 3 fairly easy cocktails that you can make in batches if you want. A really nice snack display that uses prepared items, right? I'm a chef. Chef, you should make everything fresh. No, that doesn't have to be that way. This makes my life a little easier, and they're really delicious things. If you curate this stuff and get really nice stuff, don't have to worry about it. Put it on a plate, serve it to your guests. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give us a thumbs up, like, subscribe, hit the little bell to get notifications when we have a new video out. We have merch in the link down below. Need Salt t-shirts, I Control the Salt t-shirts. I want to thank my patrons for all your help. Thank you guys. We also have an address down below if you want to contact us that way. And that's it. That is my quick and easy holiday cocktail party. I hope you enjoyed. I'm Chef Frank. This is Protocooks. Have a great holiday season.